Hi, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Spilling the Tea on GovCon. I'm Teresa Moon, Director of Business Development for Parabolis. We provide a better financial partnership for government contractors that includes a line of credit to fund your growth. The purpose of this podcast is to assist small businesses with success in the federal marketplace by introducing them to industry experts and resources that they may not otherwise know about. Today, my guest is the Executive Director of the National Veteran Small Business Coalition, Scott Jensen. Scott is joining us for the second time, having been one of my very first guests when the show began. And now we've surpassed 50 episodes, and we're so happy to have you back on the show. Thank you for joining us, Scott.
Great to be here, Teresa. Congratulations on making it so far in so many shows. So.
Thank you. I mean, it came up quick. So I'm super proud that we were able to keep it going and the momentum keep building. But it's influencers and businesses and organizations like yours that have helped propel it. And so I'm grateful for your time. I'm grateful for you to return. And since the last time you were on, a lot of great strides are happening in the SDVOSB market. A lot of big news for the NVSBC and the growth that organization has seen in the last 2 years. And so that's exactly why I thought this was perfect timing to have you on. I know, especially with regard to certifications and things like that, there's a lot going on in the veteran-owned business world.
Yeah, there's a lot happening out there these days. So.
Yep. And you guys are at the front of it. And so I wanted to give you a forum with our network to be able to shed some light on some of the stuff that you guys are focusing on, some of the things that are coming at in the months ahead and the year ahead, and shine a light on some of the success that we've seen as well. So, you have a big history in this industry, not to mention a storied military career as well. So we don't want to, delineate what your past has brought to the present for you. And so if you wouldn't mind, take a few minutes to reintroduce yourself to our audience and introduce yourself to those that may be joining us for the first time. Shed some light on your background and give some specific insight into the NVSBC, please.
Yeah, great. Well, thanks. I won't spend too much time. You can tell by my background that if you haven't figured it out, I'm a retired United States Marine helicopter pilot, spent almost 30 years in the Marine Corps, retired in 2016. Jumped into the nonprofit space, worked across a couple of nonprofits, became a consultant, started my own small business, got certified with the VA in the process as an SDVOSB, and ultimately found myself here with the National Veteran Small Business Coalition as the executive director. NVSBC is a nonprofit. It's actually two nonprofits, the National Veteran Small Business Coalition and our related NVSBC Education Foundation. And we work together to provide three things: training, networking, and advocacy for veteran-owned small businesses that desire to or do federal contracting. So work with the federal contracting force, and that's our niche. That's where we focus. We work with a lot of partners who do entrepreneurship development, transition work, and when they start saying we're thinking about government contracting or we do government contracting, we're the resource that oftentimes people are directed to because of our programs and our information that we have.
Well, that's great. And you can draw a direct line from your past experience to what led you to doing the work that you do today. So you've got it on both sides, both in the public and the private sector. And I think being an SDVOSB business leader yourself really speaks to your ability to connect with the constituency of the NVSBC and probably is a direct line effect of why it has grown so much in the last couple of years, because you really do understand what it's like to walk in the shoes of those businesses that are coming into the government contracting market and looking for capitalizing on those opportunities that are coming across the table for SDVOSBs across the board. So it's awesome. We at Parabolis, I have been very lucky to have a direct line to the leadership of NVSBC for several years now. Yeah. And I've seen firsthand the level of intimacy that you guys provide to your constituents as far as assisting along the way. The growth has been exponential as well. And that has a lot to do with the way that you've impacted that environment so that businesses are seeing it from a top-down approach of those advocacy arms are resulting in results. And that's amazing. And, it's one thing to be able to go out there and speak on behalf of a group, but to really achieve the results that you're going after is what the whole purpose of it behind it. And you guys are doing a great job. And so I wanted to be able to highlight some of that. So, in that respect, what are some of the successes that you could speak to today with regard to legislative progress for veteran-owned small businesses and service-disabled veteran-owned businesses?
Yeah. So, I think since it's been a couple of years since we last spoke, Teresa, and we've had some really big successes on behalf of veteran-owned small business, as you highlight. And, I think to start with was our ability to work with and support the SBA as, 2 years ago, as the certification process moved from the Veterans Administration and only applying to the Veteran Administration to the SBA and becoming a requirement across all of the 24 federal agencies that work in the set-aside program. We were, very fortunate early on to be brought in by the administrator and the leadership at the SBA to bring our constituency in front of them to help model and understand what the requirements are and how they could make it a good program. And that was key as an advocate for the small businesses, and to be seen as a very intimate partner with them in that process. And I think the end result is clear to see. It's a gold standard, right? In fact, the administrator says it's a platinum standard. It's not a gold standard because of what they've achieved and through our partnership. Legislatively, rather quickly, we were able to lobby for $20 million extra dollars to that Vet Cert program so it could be successful. And Congress worked with us very well in a rather quick turnaround to come up with some money to be able to support that program. And we've kind of snowballed off of that. The big news this last go around was our ability to work with congressional offices to get the set-aside percentage for veteran-owned businesses increased from 3 to 5%. Mm-hmm. Over $15 billion a year represented in that 2% increase, and really protecting what the veteran community needs as far as getting access to those federal funds. That's been a labor of love in the community for nearly 2 decades. And, the stars aligned, but we had established good relationships. We knew the touch points, and Congress was ready to act on that. And we were, we had positioned ourselves to really be able to be successful in that. I think
that's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And we've had a lot of good people working on this and a lot of good relationships with both sides of the aisle, both houses of Congress, federal agencies, all supporting it and working hard to protect those opportunities for veteran business. Hand in hand with that, and I would almost say equally important, but probably not as headline catching, mm-hmm. was closing the loop at the same time of self-certification for subcontracting, which was also part of the NDAA. Mm-hmm. When the move from VA to SBA and certification, there was also the requirement to become certified, but that only applied to prime contractors. And it left a rather large loophole, if you will, that was very important to most of our constituency, that self-certified companies were still able to get access to the set-aside without really being able to demonstrate that they qualified in the set-aside. Mm-hmm. And coincident with the 3 to 5%, we were able to close that loophole. And, they're in the process this year of implementing and getting everything lined up. But, even DOD at this point went ahead with the class deviation, saying even though they're still working on getting the regulations and everything, DOD is going to operate off of that certification requirement for subcontractors. which is key. It's important. If you're on this call and you're not certified, you better get certified, particularly, at a big organization like DOD.
Yep.
DOD and VA make up 2/3 of the spend that goes to veteran-owned businesses, and they're serious about working with certified companies, and the VA was already serious about working with certified companies. So between the two of them, that's a big impact.
Absolutely. I mean, I think, the depth of the impact is going to be seen in the fact that increase of the allocation to SDVOSBs has been increased by that 2%. That's a huge jump. I became familiar with some of the legislative activities that, the NVSBC is involved in, and, being from Florida, and the Florida Association of Veteran-Owned Businesses backs you guys in these efforts as well. And, one of the things that I always felt passionate about with hearing from leadership from VOB in particular was that, there wasn't much beyond the GI Bill that the government had been passing on to the veterans. And so when veterans are engaged in business, this is the least that they could do, is look at it in terms of not only an equal slice of the pie, but recognizing them in a bigger way. Yeah. And so these are great, but this has been, like you said, a long time coming. This has been a hard push. And I think organizations like NVSBC gaining that groundswell is what's allowing this to come to light, because we are better together in terms of our voice. And so you guys have made a huge impact, and you're growing. So with that in mind, what initiatives are you guys looking at for, currently and the year ahead, in terms of growth and outreach?
Yeah. So, boy, we've got a lot going on. So, in the last year and a half, 2 years, we claimed more actively work that we were known for, but just that was happening organically, and we really hadn't, applied it as thinking programmatically. So, we've always done a lot of mentoring for young companies, but it was happening, again, organically. It wasn't being seen out there, but so many companies have grown and accelerated their opportunities by involving themselves with NVSBC, and then meeting more advanced company owners and small business professionals that are willing to work with them to help them accelerate and find those opportunities. And so in the last 2 years, we've really gone after the idea of establishing mentor cohorts, establishing ourselves and supporting at a regional level the communities that are out there across the United States. And then the other thing that we were doing all the time was taking phone calls. How do I do this? Can you help me do this? What do you call that? You call that consulting.
Yeah.
And we weren't really taking credit for that. So we formalized a lot of these programs. We've got a program now called Vet Fed Consult. We've got a mentoring cohorts that we're establishing. We've got a program, Vet Fed Engage, that's established itself in 10 markets across the country now. And at each of those markets, we're meeting there in person and establishing a mentor cohort around each of those markets, where we can find those companies that are struggling, may not have the access they need to, oftentimes associated, with a women-owned or a minority base. The data tells us it's harder for them to find access to good coaches and mentors. So we're working in those communities to establish opportunities and acceleration for all the companies in that area, but then leveraging those relationships and our knowledge to match younger businesses with older businesses in a way that will really facilitate them. We've brought on a consulting team. We've brought on a training manager and a consulting manager and a full-time consultant that's all free, that people can call in and talk to our consulting team, and then get connected to the ecosystem that we're central in. Whether that's financial needs or growth needs or business development needs. We have a huge network of coaches and mentors and service providers like you all, Parables. And so people can come to us And we either answer the questions for them and help them and coach them, or connect them to the people that already exist out there that can provide those resources.
That's wonderful. And sign me up for more information on this, because we are a veteran-owned business. Our CEO is a 30-year Air Force veteran. So I know that him hearing something like this, he's gonna really want us to get involved. And so I'm happy to support on a grassroots level and whatever market is necessary. We are, nationwide as well. So that's amazing, because that's going about 10 steps further than a lot of organizations are able to do, and especially allowing that program to be free of charge. And with the expertise that the people that you've put in line to help here, that's invaluable. And I know that right there is probably says a lot for why you've been able to grow into the markets that you have in the last 2 years, because of the fact that you're really meeting the businesses where they are and helping them get to that level of success that they need to sustain some growth. And that's key. That's amazing.
Teresa, it doesn't come without partnerships and trust. So, this really started with us beginning to work closely with the Institute for Veteran and Military Families, Syracuse University, IVMF. They brought us in their Community Navigator program that was, granted through the SBA for 2 years. That really helped us get launched and demonstrate the value of what we were doing. That got the attention of our friends over at JP Morgan Chase and the JP Morgan Chase Foundation. And were it not for the foundation taking and the military and veteran affairs folks at JP Morgan on the commercial side, taking an investment in us and a partnership to provide the funds that we needed to really be able to kick these off. And, now we've grown. We're in Washington, D.C., we're in Hampton Road, Virginia, Tampa, Florida, San Antonio, Texas, San Diego, California. We're up to Philadelphia. I'm in Colorado Springs in 2 weeks. Our conferences in Orlando have really blossomed and grown. And finally, Dayton, Ohio. So, we're targeting the local concentrations of GovCons, and then establishing a regional presence where, those around us. We wish we could be everywhere all at once, right? Yeah. But we're succeeding, and JP Morgan helped us get that started.
Yeah, they're fantastic. They're a great partner of ours as well. I think they just really understand that it has to be a grassroots effort. They have to meet people where they are and not have it all be, fall into their lap. They're one of the few financial institutions that really does a lot with giving back to the community in a genuine way, and hiring people who understand it from a personal experience level. It isn't just training people to say the right things. It's finding people who actually understand what that mission is because they lived it, and then they go out and in turn help in that community. Yeah. And so we found that the partnership with them has been a really great benefit to our client base as well. So I see why it works so well for you all. And that's great. And I'm glad to hear that. And if I can help in any way of connecting in other markets too, with some of the bankers through JP Morgan that I work with, I'm happy to do so, because they're just a great organization when it comes to supporting the veteran-owned business market, but also the other, to your point, women-owned small businesses, other minority-owned businesses. They really have great programs in place corporation-wide to help the national market, and it's awesome. So I'm glad to highlight that with you as well. It's great. I think you mentioned a couple of places that you've been. You mentioned that you're going to Colorado Springs soon. You guys just were in San Diego. What is the best avenue that our listeners today can not only support you, but get involved, and where can we find you in the months ahead?
Yeah. So, immediately, and you can see it scrolling across the bottom of the screen, is our website has access to all of our events and activities. And we're not just in person. We do have, we have a very robust YouTube channel with hundreds of hours of free virtual content on about any subject that someone would need on government contracting.
Mm-hmm.
And so many times when I'm in person, somebody says, "Oh, I've been on your YouTube channel. I have my business developers on there, my ops folks. I take 45 minutes between meetings. We're on there and looking." So there's a lot of resources that are available to anyone, no matter where they're at, and that's what we want to be. Consulting, it's available to anybody, no matter where you're at. You can get access to it at our website, www.nvsbc.org. And our calendar is on there. We are typically in the Washington, D.C. area monthly at the Army Navy Country Club.
Mm-hmm.
In the other markets, we're targeting a quarterly. So, this week I was in San Antonio. We'll be back there, I believe, in December. Our nearest opportunities, we've got a golf tournament coming up here in August. We'll be in Philadelphia at the end of August, Colorado Springs again week after next. And, you can go to our calendar and see the locations and everything. We have a big awards gala in November where we recognize the federal agencies, the large primes that meet their set-aside goals, and award them and recognize them as champions. We're the only ones who recognize those types of organizations, and we do some recognition of small businesses as well. That'll be November 7th in DC. Rolling into next year, we've established in our first quarter of each year an access to capital program that we'll be hosting at the end of February at George Mason University at the Baroni Center, and partnering with Baroni, IVMF, and JP Morgan Chase for that. That's a virtual and an in-person. Mm-hmm. And so keep an eye out for that. And then the big daddy, which you've been at, Teresa, and have spoken at, is our Vets Conference. Yeah. It's grown each year to just in amazing bounds. We'll be back in Orlando at the Rosen Center in May. That you can't miss that. That's 3 days of immersive connections with everybody in the GovCon system that matters.
Yep.
Federal agencies, federal contracting representatives, large primes, trusted service providers, partners that are other small businesses. If you're not a veteran-owned business and you want to work with veteran-owned business, mm-hmm. come to our events, get involved, take advantage of what we have to offer. I will say, you asked me what's best to support us. You can get you will get access to free opportunities with NVSBC, but we have a membership component, and we started this discussion with our legislative wins on behalf of the veteran small business community. That doesn't come free, and it doesn't come cheap. Mm-hmm. And that type of activity relies on a good membership base. So, I beseech anybody who thinks that 3 to 5% increase is important, demonstrate that importance by joining the coalition. Joining for our annual membership for a small business is $350 a year. Mm-hmm. There isn't another coalition or business association in the world that comes at that price point. But we need that to represent you. And your participation as a member also gives you the opportunity to give us the information we need to be good stewards and representatives of you with federal agencies and Capitol Hill. So I can't stress enough the value and importance. But it's not just veteran-owned businesses that are members. We have service providers, large mm-hmm. corporations, because without that whole ecosystem participating together, none of us are going to succeed. So, right. We've got a membership place for you, no matter what your status or what type of a business you are or who owns your business. So please check us out and take advantage of what we have to offer.
That's awesome. And I appreciate you extending that to our listenership, and also noting the fact that being a veteran-owned business is not the requirement. It can be anyone that wants to support that community, work within that community. And so I think that's an important add-on. And so thank you so much. And, kudos to you and your team for really doing great work. I know a lot of you, and I'm really proud of the things that you've been able to be a part of in your tenure as executive director. I hope that you're feeling proud of that as well. And we're grateful that you spent some time with us again. We'll definitely be checking in with you because you guys are always on the move. And like I said, if we can ever lend our network or the backing of Parabolas to support the efforts that you guys have on a day in and day out basis, you know I'm here for you.
We know it, and we'll always see you around. We run in the same circles, so
That's right.
we appreciate the support, and really appreciate you letting me have some time to talk about the programs and our partnerships and stress that. So it's always wonderful to see you, and you've let me come back twice. Hopefully you'll let me come back again here.
Oh, absolutely. Without a doubt, you will be back, and I appreciate you, being prepared for that as well. So thank you so much. Thank you all for joining us again. And as always, we pride ourselves on sharing the most insightful and exciting people and information to help you better navigate your GovCon journey. If you like what you heard today, you can see all of our past podcasts, which are archived on our YouTube channel by the same name. Stay tuned for all of our future guests in the coming months as we help you grow to great heights in the year ahead. I'm Teresa Moon, and this is Spilling the Tea on GovCon. Have a great day, my friends.